This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
All right, welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan. I'm here with my guest today, Kayla. Kayla, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. So this is a recovery podcast, so we'd like to talk a little bit about our experiences with, partying, addiction, and our recoveries afterwards and stuff. But want to ask you first, do you have a sober date? And what was your drink or drug of choice?
So this time around, I would say like August 2017 is when I started my recovery journey. I had a relapse last March at the end of March, but this is like the first time that I've never really paid attention to the time or the date.
Yeah. But that seems to be working.
Yeah, the first week of April last year, I was in a little mental hospital. So
Okay. Well, if you're comfortable, we can always talk about that in a bit. But
yeah.
yeah, so what was your drink or drug of choice when you were going out and everything?
Alcohol was my main drug of choice. Cocaine pretty much followed after that.
Yeah, just like me. I
Yeah.
totally get it. Kept the
Yeah,
nights longer, made me drink
exactly.
more social.
Exactly. It was around, yeah. Yeah.
So what was, let's backtrack into the early years. What was life like growing up? What was your family dynamic? All that stuff before you started using and stuff.
So my childhood was pretty rough. Actually, I don't really get to talk about this often.
Yeah.
I've processed everything a couple times with, a therapist here and there, but I'm just I'm not going to lie, like just in a rough part of my recovery. I'm still sober, but just struggling with a lot of things and being vulnerable and putting myself out there. I've been very guarded lately. So,
I hope I'm not putting you under too much pressure to
no, no.
talk.
Yeah, it's heavy, but
Just got to remember that the hard things we're talking about,
yeah,
even though they're difficult, there's somebody out there who thinks they're alone and who can relate to
yeah,
it. So,
yeah.
and if you get emotional, it's okay. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a
no,
podcast.
this is
People cry.
so yeah, like, this is so good for me, like, I think I really do need to, like, finally talk about it with somebody outside of therapy, like, I've definitely been open on social media, like, here and there, like, on threads and stuff, like, little things, but, like, this is real and raw and just, like, very personal, so but thank you because I think after this, I'm gonna feel a sense of relief that I haven't felt in a while because I've just been kind of guarded. You know what I mean? So this is good. This is good.
All right.
So no, my childhood was pretty rough. There was good moments, but very isolating, very alone. My mother was a single mom. She worked her butt off to support us. I was an only child until I was 8 years old. And then my two sisters came along quickly. I've got a very odd dynamic. My if I say like sperm donor, I'm talking about my bio dad. He stepped out of the picture before I was born. So it was just me and my mom for 8 years. And she worked her butt off, but she was young. She was
How many
19.
siblings?
A lot. I have two from my mom's second relationship. My bio dad had a couple girls, four total after me. I did have a father figure in my life. I still do. My dad, who, if I say my dad, that's who I'm talking about. He's been around since I was 11 days old. So it's a very blended, dynamic type of situation, half siblings and whatnot. But yeah, so we struggled. We struggled a lot. And there was, my mom was young. She was 19. So there was definitely partying and stuff around kind of everywhere. Family events, picnics in the home, stuff like that. Just a lot of chaos. I'd been through a lot, at a very young age.
Saw a lot of things you probably shouldn't have. There wasn't a lot of structure and balance.
Absolutely, yeah. I was exposed to a lot of things at a young age, like the partying, a lot of sexual things that, a child just shouldn't see. that
Yeah,
has affected me more so than I think I ever realized, when I got sober, how much
yeah, of
those things really affected me.
course.
So even processing them now, like 30 years later, it's a wild ride. But
Yeah.
my
I'm
mom
just
did have,
processing some sexual things that happened in my past that I didn't start to process until somebody came on the show and talked about theirs. And I was like, you know what? I've been sober this long. It's time for me to like start working through that. So completely get
yeah,
it. It hits you like a freight train.
yeah, and it's like I said, getting sober, all of these feelings and everything just kind of keeps comes rushing back.
Yeah.
Things that you didn't even realize you were suppressing for so long. So, but my mom did the best with what she had. You know, there were good times. My dad that I had mentioned, he's been in my life since I was 11 days old. Him and my mom dated for a little bit before she went and dated my sister's father. But he's been in my life, like I said, forever, and amazing dad. His parents, me mom, pappy, practically raised me. I mean, they were like the only stability that I had was that side. There were, like I said, good times with my mom, but just there was so much chaos over there. So like being with my dad and my grandparents was really an escape for me because it was very chaotic at home.
Hmm. Yeah, I can relate to that. My parents were divorced when I was young, and my mom, it's dated a lot of different guys, and I would go to her house, and it would just be my half sister and I, and it was complicated there. And then I'd be at my dad's, and it was complicated there. So I ended up staying at like friends' houses to feel, at home. It was kind of just dysfunctional.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I didn't realize how like crazy dysfunctional it was until I got older, you know. You think it's kind of normal, but yeah, and then like school I was able to make friends, but I never really felt like I had a place, like I didn't fit in anywhere. I was constantly feeling like I needed like approval from other people, just people pleasing constantly.
Yeah.
Um
Were you pretty introverted or social anxiety or just those kind of things?
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, once I got to know you and like we became friends, I was so outgoing, you know? But yeah, I was definitely more introverted um until you got to know me.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
school, it was just rough. Making friends, keeping friends, relationships. I've always kind of had a problem with the connection and everything. So when I got to
Settling.
high school, like, and I found like the drinking and the drugs and everything, like that kind of opened up a whole new
What was it like the
escape
first
for me.
time you experienced drinking? What was that like?
I got really sick, but I couldn't believe that I kind of hated the drinks and the drugs for a long time because of what I grew up around. Like I swore that I wasn't going to be that person and drink and all of that. So I didn't start until I was about 17. But once I did, I was like, wait a minute. This is what this is why they've been okay. It started to make sense. I'm like, yeah, so the first time was definitely, it got me out of my comfort zone, like, it made me a different person drinking, and I was able to make friends and whatnot.
Yeah. So it kind of just gave you the more liquid courage, more social, started to not think less about things going on at home and stuff.
Yeah.
Did your parents start to catch on to it? Were they trying to slow you down from going that route, or what was that like?
So let me think of my timeline real quick. So I was 17 when I like started, but it wasn't like I wasn't going out like every weekend and partying. I was just like doing what I thought like other high school kids do, you know? I had just put it off for so long because like I said, I had just such a negative outlook on it. But it was just really experimental at first. But I did see that like it made me such a different person and I liked who that person was. It was outgoing. It was just completely different than my introverted self. So my drinking didn't really change and transform until I lost my grandmother. I was 20 when she passed away to cancer. And then 3 years later, I lost my pappy. So that grief and they were my stability. They were the good. They were everything. It just changed who I was. It changed my brain chemistry. It changed my outlook on life. And that's when my drinking and drugging started to like ramp up. It got to the point where I didn't care what it was. Like I would take it for the
Yeah.
most part. I had like a no heroin and no meth, but like no IV, but like anything. I was just more and what do you have? You know.
Yeah. Did it start to, so you started to surround yourself with a crowd that was into that same stuff? And did you get into, say, toxic relationships too? Or how were your relationships and significant others and stuff?
Yeah, so my first serious relationship ended up being somebody who I married. We started dating when I was 18. I was a freshman in college, right before my grandmother had passed away. So the drinking was still normal in my mind. I rationalized like I'm in college. This is just what we do. Like I was hiding so much trauma and just so much behind what was really I put out for the world. I'm just this fun party girl. Like
Yeah.
I really embraced that. It was my identity. But yeah, my I was with a guy, we started dating, and the guy I started dating in college, it just the party scene. All of the friends that I had, we all went to high school together and it was just a big group of us. And yes, like that was looking back, our relation our relationship was built around that, a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Everybody else
no,
was having fun and I was like drowning
yeah,
secretly for years.
secretly.
For
Were you
years.
catching yourself, like, besides the partying and stuff, are you catching yourself drinking alone very often? Or drinking,
Yes.
using alone?
I was bartended throughout college. Most of my life was bartending and serving. It literally drinking was everywhere. It was in every part of my life and I wanted it to be that way, you know? Like, I did drink to escape a lot, but I also drank cuz I wanted to feel good, you know? Like I lived a very like hedonistic lifestyle of like I feel that I should just be happy and life should be pleasurable all the time, you know, because growing up, I just experienced so much sadness. Like, I was a sad little girl. And for a long time, I didn't have the vocabulary and the language to like put together that like depression, anxiety, you know, what was really going on. So, seeking out drugs and alcohol, I was seeking them out to mask stuff
Yeah.
and to feel, you know,
Same
like
here. My gosh.
both. Like, it just, any fucking reason. It got to, like, the point where it was just, like, any reason to drink, you know? It was just
Yeah.
my life,
I can
and I
relate
was
to that.
running from a
I
lot of
was
shit and
I was broken
didn't
my
know.
entire childhood. I was sad, depressed, and I put on this mask throughout middle school, high school that I was okay. I still fit in, I still played
Yeah,
sports, still got decent grades, and I'd still smile, and all that. But like by the time I got to college, I got out of like the chaotic household and stuff. I mean, it wasn't always bad, but like I was ready to just let loose. And once I finally discovered like that alcohol could make everything better, I was just like, all those worries and all that crap went away. And I
right.
was like, I finally feel how I've always wanted to feel. And now in
Yeah,
sobriety, I feel better than I did before I started drinking because I know myself better. But yeah, that's why I drink too. So I just had to numb myself, but nobody knew I was hurting the whole time.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think until it got to the point where, like, I was getting fired from jobs and, you know, I was doing things, drinking and driving and wrecking my car, like, things started to really, like, spiral and get to the point where people started to notice and, you know.
Yeah. How many did you have like supportive people in your life that actually were willing to call you out on it? I mean, obviously bartending and having friends that are doing the same thing, it's hard to find real friends, but did anybody start to say like, "Hey, it's time to cut it back, Kayla?"
Yes and no. Unfortunately, more of it I think was done behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the friend group I had wasn't as supportive, I don't think, and I really had to walk away. My divorce, when I left my husband in 2020, I kind of moved away. I really had to change my people, places, things, you know? And I don't like hold resentment or anything to anybody because it wasn't up to anybody to save me. You know, I had a few friends and family like step in and say like I needed help. This feels heavy right now, but I know once this is done, I'm gonna feel so much better to just get like a lot of this. off my chest. I had definitely asked for help in ways I don't think I was clear enough with people because, again, I think I was just really good to a point at putting on this mask of like, I'm having fun. This is a lifestyle. This is not a problem. Like, I don't care what you think. This is fun for me. Like I said, it wasn't until I was like losing job after job after job. Getting pregnant with my son is what saved my life. But it wasn't until, 2016 when was the year I got pregnant. And it was a very challenging and isolating year. Having my son is at the end of the day what saved me. Like, he is my why, he is my purpose, he is my everything. I hate that I drank for the first year of his life. And the drinking wasn't like, I was not an everyday drinker, especially like when I became a mom. It was like weekends. My mom would be like, yeah, I'll take for the weekend. I'll take him for the weekend. And I'm like, yeah, cool. And in my mind, I'm like, I can get drunk, like I can go on a 2-day bender now. But it was August of 2017 that I just couldn't do it anymore. I mean, like, I literally just woke up one day from a bender and remember just falling on my knees and saying out loud for the first time. Like, it was always in my head, but out loud for the first time, I am an alcoholic and I need help because I refuse to allow my son to have the same childhood that I had and see that chaos. And it's not his fault, that his mom has so much she's got to deal with. Addiction is a very selfish disease. At the end of the day, it's a very selfish disease. And I just fell on my knees and I just begged God to just please help me. And I reached out to a family member who was able to reach out to somebody that she knew. And I went to detox the next day. August 21st, 2017 was like my first day that I admitted, out loud. It's been a rocky road the last, couple years, but I've maintained years of sobriety. Like I said, my son is like my everything. He's my why.
He's 10 now.
He'll be 10 in December. Yeah.
Wow,
Just
that's
turned just
amazing.
9,
So,
yeah.
so
I
he was
just
a
want
huge
to make sure
motivation for you.
that he has, a better childhood than I did. I think that's
Exactly.
the whole purpose.
Yeah, somebody I interviewed this morning, he's a sober dad of 4, and he just said, like, when his advice to people was just like, think about your kids, think about what you're doing to them, think about how it's affecting them, what they're seeing growing up, because we were affected by it. My mother was an alcoholic and I love her to death, and I always
Yeah,
did, never had problems with her, but the things I witnessed growing up, I just was like,
sure.
I can't do that to my own kids if I had kids. But
Right.
yeah,
It's way too heavy. I mean, they don't need to see stuff like that, but
exactly. So that sounds like when you cried out, I'm an alcoholic and I need help, you were by yourself when that happened. And that felt,
literally I was like in an empty house. Like, we were packing up the apartment that we were living in. I was still married at the time. This is like, I was not even a year postpartum, like 8 months postpartum. And I was by myself and I was like, yeah, just coming down so hard. And I was like, I can't live like this anymore. I'm losing time with my kid. And there's going to be, if I don't stop, he's going to remember these things, Like, thank God he's an infant, but still, like, that time I'll never get back, you know?
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that sucks. But
Yeah. Did you, so after that happened, how did you go about getting sober? Did you check into treatment, or did you do any
so
outpatient stuff?
I actually never did like a full rehab stay. I always did outpatient. And as much as I wanted to go away, my ex, and we're on good terms now. Like, we have a decent relationship now, but he never really agreed to it. I think he was in denial a lot and didn't want to accept it because I think in a way that it would force him to kind of look at his own drinking patterns, which it's none of my business anymore. Like, I know the reason, like, I wanted to go to rehab. There were a couple times, like, I talked about it, but I think, like, he was kind of in denial. And there was always the, like, well, how are we going to, like, pay bills? Because I help, obviously. Things were 50-50. Like, I wasn't a stay at home mom. I was waitressing, bartending. He was working. But that was unfortunately more of a concern to him. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, yeah, let me just drink it and snort it away, like the money, like it's
Yeah.
one or the other is going to happen. But so I just never went to an inpatient. Everything was outpatient. It was therapy and medication that really saved my life. Like the first year of my recovery coming out of detox and the outpatient therapy, I couldn't stay sober more than like 30 days. It would be just like a couple hours of drinking. It wouldn't be like a bender or anything, but still, like it would be a slip, a relapse, whatever. And I would be right back to like day one again. I could never
Yeah.
get 30 days. It wasn't until that, like, I found a really good therapist and I got medicated and really started to do the inner work on myself
Hmm.
that sitting with those feelings that I was escaping and numbing and learning to just be fucking bored, life doesn't always have to be, you don't always have to feel a certain way, or it's just odd. Stepping into my faith, my spirituality, all of these things coming together, it's taken me a long time. I've had 2 years, I've had 3 years, I've had a couple months, and I've had slips. And
Do you remember
I,
what was going through your head during the slips?
what was going through my head?
Yeah. Like what did you like, was it just a rough day, or you just became too much and you grabbed a bottle, or like what kind of stuff do you think you were going through?
Yeah, I mean, the first year for me, just it wasn't like, so I was going to the meetings because they were telling me, 90 meetings in 90 days. That's what
I
it
did
was,
that too.
they were
Yeah.
preaching. And it works. So let me just preface by saying it works. The meetings work. For me, it didn't. I left feeling more almost depressed, and it just didn't click for me there. Like I really, like I said, had to step back and do my own inner work. I've done a lot of outpatient groups and stuff. And I've done AA meetings here and there and NA meetings here and there, but it just didn't work for me. And that is okay. Like recovery looks different on everybody, but
Hmm.
I wish somebody would have told me that sooner, because I kept like, I would go to the meetings and I just would feel like I'd want to drink. I'd want to use when I'd leave there. And I'm like, what the
Really?
hell is wrong with me? You know? And I'm like, this earring keeps falling out. We're just going to take that out. I'm like, is this not clicking?
Yeah.
Obviously, this isn't going to work, And then I'm getting in my head and I'm throwing these fucking pity parties I would throw myself, getting in my head. I was my own worst enemy for the longest time. And I still get in my head about shit. But I've learned to give it to God a lot, like everything. I mean, I can't worry my life away. I can't just, like I said, stepping back and just sitting with the emotions, sitting with the trauma and healing from it has been the biggest thing for me. Staying away from drinking isn't really the hard part. It's sitting with the shit, you
Yeah.
know,
It's dealing with it.
talking about it, like doing this,
Yeah.
like I'm not going to lie. There was definitely, I had those thoughts. I'm like, how much like more calm would I be going into this if I had a drink?
Yeah.
I'm still, even though I've been on this journey for going on 9 years, those thoughts still creep in, you
Yeah.
know?
Of course they do.
And I have to humble myself and remind myself that it doesn't matter if I have 3 days, 3 years, I'm just as fragile at day one as I am.
I had a bad
Yeah.
day on Christmas Eve and I caught myself parked outside a mini mart for like a half hour and I was just staring at it. And I was like, wait, I really am still this weak 16 months later. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I've been there.
I didn't
I've
do
been
anything, but I got close. So
I literally live right next to a grocery store, like literally can see it right outside, and attached is a liquor store. And I'm getting to that age where they don't really card me anymore. I noticed as, you know, So, like, because for the longest time, I started giving my ID to, like, my fiancé to hide, my now fiancé, because it got to the point where, like, I didn't trust myself. Like, stick me out there on a bad day, who knows what'll happen. But yeah, it's been a journey. I've definitely been in those parking lots and have had to talk myself out of it. And I'm so stubborn that, like, everybody will be like, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you call me?" And I'm like, asking for help is so hard for me sometimes.
Yeah.
Really is, like, because I feel like a burden, you know? You really
Yep.
do. It's like I've put my family through so much shit as it is. Like, it's like, "Come on, Kayla. Like, we're going through this again." It's like, when is enough enough? But that's life, and we all need to be here for each other, you know?
Yeah.
My favorite saying in recovery is, "We can't keep what we have if we don't give it away."
I like
So,
that.
being
Really.
vulnerable, doing things like this
Yeah.
is healing for me.
Yeah.
I just wanna be able to help people with, my story and let them know that, like, we've all been in that parking lot. We've all been there. We
Yep.
all have our own parking lot that we've sat in and, like, had to yeah, had to have some serious conversations with ourselves.
I know. I made some phone calls that night and I went over to a friend from my meeting and they had me over for dinner and that was nice. I got through it, but it's just kind of like it was just a reminder and a humbling for me just to know that no matter how long I'm sober, I don't have this figured out and I got to stick to the plan. So the
Absolutely.
meetings help me a lot, but I do talk to a lot of people on here that they say it just wasn't for them. And they say,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe I went to a few meetings, I got something from it, but it just wasn't for me in my whole recovery. And I get it. Everybody's got a different journey.
absolutely.
Yeah. So like when you did have like random relapses over the course of the last, 9 years or so, how long would they usually last? Would it be like a one and done or would it like carry on until you got depressed again?
Pretty much one and done for the most part. Like, last year, right before my relapse in March, well, it actually happened in February. It would just be kind of random, like a random Friday, just very, very random. But I can't keep anything from my fiance. Like, he knows. He can smell it on me. He's the best thing that has happened to me in recent years besides my son, because he has loved me through everything. Like, he has supported my recovery in ways that my ex just couldn't. He's got his own stuff going on in his life, and that's okay. But
But you found
yeah,
somebody who you really do have that love and support.
yeah, like, he really has kept me in check and kept me out of my head, because that's what happens is I get, like, so in my head and I carry way too much and I don't speak about it. Like, I'm so guarded. Like, after I got initially sober and I lost, like, all my friends and stuff, and just things just kind of flipped upside down. I've been a very, very guarded person, social anxiety to the max. Like, so staying sober has been like a fucking miracle.
Yeah.
But yeah, it luckily, thankfully hasn't really gone too crazy. March of 2022 was the last time that, like, I got drunk at work, got fired, and 12 hours later totaled my car.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really fucking bad. How I walked away from that, I don't know. That guilt and shame sticks with me. Like, that's another thing that keeps me sober. Like, when I feel triggered, I immediately just go to my whys. My son, my family, my friends, God, but also knowing that, like, I have done some horrible things that I've put other people's lives in jeopardy, and I've walked away from it, and I know how I get when I drink, and I don't ever want to put myself back into that situation of getting behind the wheel, because
Yeah.
I'm fucking reckless when I start drinking.
Yeah.
This
Just
other side of
impulsive.
me comes
Yeah.
out that, like,
No frontal
I
lobe not working. Just do it. Yeah.
yep.
How did you've mentioned spirituality a few times. How did you, I don't know if you grew up in a very spiritual household. So how did that come about becoming all about God and Christianity and stuff?
So I grew up around, like, Catholicism and everything, a lot of Catholics,
Same.
but I have a lot of, like, very bad, like, negative things associated with the Catholic religion and stuff. But my dad and my stepsisters really kind of always instilled a a strong faith in me. I wrestled with it though. I wrestled with the idea of, if there is a God, why put a child through, things that I went through. When I lost my grandparents, very angry with God, kind of walked away. I really walked away from him for a long time. It wasn't until um, I found recovery that I picked up a Bible again, Yeah, I got into like astrology and all that stuff too. I'm sure people will call me out because, a lot of people will say you can't believe in God and both at the same time, but my journey, my
Yeah.
life, right? But yeah, that's always been something that I've wrestled with, but I've grown so much closer to my faith and the community that I found. It's helping me find my purpose in life.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. What is 24 hours in a day look like for you now? I mean, how's your relationship with your son being sober a majority of his life?
Amazing. He is a handful, but in the best way. He's taught me so much. Patience is a big thing he has taught me, but yeah, my 24 hours, I own my own housekeeping business. So it's a lot of working during the day and then a lot of therapies at night. He's in a lot of different therapies. I have a lot of different therapies. We're involved with the church and stuff. So I'm constantly going, going, going. But I try to just keep my why in front of me every single day. You know, I have my bad days. We all do. I lose sight. There are definitely days where I'm just negative and down, but I have way better days, obviously, in recovery than I ever did sober in my active addiction, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, totally. Completely. Good. So how is your relationship with like your family now and friends and all that and your parents and all that?
Good. I mean, my mom, she's sober now. We definitely, I mean, I think that like there's things that we could definitely work on. But I've always told her, like, the biggest "I'm sorry," like, apology you can give me is just working on yourself, staying sober, and healing. Because at the end of the day, like, my mom went through some terrible things, and she really did try the hardest that she could. So, I like I said, I wish we were closer, because losing my grandmother was like losing my mother. Because me and my mom have always kind of just struggled with things. But it's better because, like I said, she's sober now. I've got a small circle, but a strong circle. So,
So you have the right support around you, and
yeah.
what other things you're doing now to stay on the right track? Like, we're talking you work a lot.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like just therapy, and I journal a lot, meditating when I can, praying, like just stuff like that to just really work on healing myself, from the inside out. Therapy is huge for me. I mean, I wish I would have started it a long time ago. I really thought like when I turned 18 and I went to college that like life would get better. I'm
Things will
going to
figure themselves
school.
out.
Yeah. Like just run away from it, leave it in the past. No, that shit follows you until you face it head on. So I've
But in that
definitely been like a recluse lately, but I need it. I need to step away and a lot of times and just,
decompress, have some
yeah.
solitude. It's good for you.
Yeah, there's just so much outside noise and I get too caught up in it, you
Yeah.
know?
What through therapy, what was one of the most difficult things to work through when you started therapy, and like have you gotten through that, and does that make recovery easier?
So I think with in therapy, like when I first started dealing with the abuse that I had to see my mom go through was the biggest hurdle. Like my central nervous system, I mean, it's still like out of whack, but I was stuck in fight or flight for a very long time, you know?
Okay. You
So,
witnessed a lot of physical abuse?
yeah, I witnessed a lot of physical abuse with her boyfriend after her and my dad broke up. He was a heroin user. So there was a lot of abuse there, and unpacking that and dealing with that in therapy and really talking about stuff that I had really never talked about, with anybody. And understanding why I was drinking, because that was like a really mind-boggling thing getting sober. I knew I had a problem. Like, I knew looking around that, like, what I was dealing with was abnormal, but like the coming to the realization of like, this is why, like really laying it all out it was heavy, but it was so necessary. And like I said, the drinking, the staying away from it wasn't the hard part. It was learning to sit with those feelings
Mm-hmm.
and really face my trauma head on.
That's good. And now you're getting to know who your true self is, in this recovery and in therapy and stuff. Like, what
Yeah,
kind of
that's
person do you think you really are? Like, do you think you know yourself better now than you did before you even started using and stuff? You're okay being a recluse, like you said, and you're okay being,
yeah.
sticking to yourself. Like, do you like how everything's turned out?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a long way to go. My son right now is my biggest priority, making sure that he's okay and doing well and thriving in every aspect. So I definitely pour so much into him that there are days where I have kind of nothing left for myself, but I am able to recognize patterns. I'm able to recognize a relapse way before it happens. And that is huge for me, you
Yeah.
know? Like, yeah,
Premeditated relapse is a real thing.
yeah. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that recovery is beautiful all the time because it's not at all. Like, right now, I'm still figuring it out. Like, there's still so much shit I wanna do and so much, like, I have planned and goals I have, but I know there's so much work left to be done, you know? So, baby steps. I'm in no rush,
Good.
you know? I'm just
Awesome.
happy to be sober,
No, I'm
to wake
grateful
up.
for you being so vulnerable and sharing some of these things. So, for
Thank
some of
you.
my listeners that are sober curious or new to recovery, or if they're struggling still, what advice would you give from your personal experience to people out there struggling?
The biggest thing, honestly, is to be honest with yourself. 100%. No, I take that back. Hold on, let me think. That's a really good question. I mean, yeah, you want to be honest with yourself, but edit that out.
No, I
Um,
agree. The best thing I learned
I mean,
in
you definitely want
recovery
to
is
be honest
honesty.
with yourself. Say don't not say, but gosh, that's a really good question. I guess it's okay to not be okay and to take it one day at a time. Like, if you're still struggling, I think the biggest thing you can do is like just to reach out to somebody. I wish I did sooner, but
Okay to ask for help.
yeah, it's okay. I think that was like my biggest problem was not being honest and asking for help and just, running from it for so long.
Exactly. I was going to ask, I saw Romans 8:18, not of this world, just in it. What does that mean to you?
We are, I mean,
Sorry to pry with these questions, but I was
no,
just
no, it's
curious.
okay. I'm still early walking in my faith, but to be of the world, in the world, not of it, is like, I don't belong here. Like, my home is in heaven. My home is with Christ.
Yeah.
These worldly things, they mean so little. It's all about what you do on this earth, the lasting impact. I can't take the material things with me. I'm just here. I'm here for a good time. And I'm here to hopefully help somebody, and just share my story and be vulnerable because um if I stay silent, others suffer.
Yep.
I don't want others
And
to suffer silently.
recovering loudly so others don't suffer silently. I like that. Sorry, I got your page pulled up, so I found some of the quotes interesting. And mentally unstable is the aesthetic, which I find that interesting. What does that mean exactly?
To just kind of embrace it, that I have to accept that my depression, my anxiety, it's not going to disappear. A lot of it is lifelong, and that is okay. Like I said, it's okay to not be okay. But yeah, to me, like it's something I have to work at every day. There are things I have to do to keep my depression at bay, my anxiety at bay, the things that led me to drink. Drinking is a symptom of a much bigger issue. It's not so much the problem. It was a symptom of the mental illness that was going untreated and just the trauma that I was dealing with. So I'm always going to be a little mentally unstable. It's never going to go away,
Same. Yeah.
Just learn to,
Exactly.
you
Learn
learn
to
to
cope
live
with
with it.
it, learn to manage it. Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah,
And then last question, where do you kind of see life like, 3, 5, 10 years from now? What are your aspirations and dreams?
I would love to finish school and get into therapy of some sort, counseling of some sort, just giving back to the community that really saved my life. School is such an important thing to me, like my education, I really did value so much. I just allowed so much to get in the way of it. I have taken courses while in recovery, and I've seen such a different side of myself that I didn't think I was capable of. And so definitely want to get into that and write a book. Definitely my two things that I'm working on right now. So
You're working on the book as we speak?
Yeah, little by little. It's a work in progress. So
that's awesome. Let me know when you finish it. I'll be curious to read it. Will it be like a memoir about your life or like?
Kinda, yeah. Just something to help people,
Yep. Our stories can help people. Every individual story is unique, and it's
we have to remind each other we're not alone. We are all in this together. It's not about me. It's about we, it's about all of us.
I agree. Well, thank you so much for sharing on the show and being on here and telling everything. Is there anything else Yeah, of course. Is there anything else you'd like to share or good?
I think I'm good. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I needed it. I think this was the boost that I kind of needed to get out of my head a little bit, get out of my shell a little bit more. And,
I did great. Seemed comfortable. You talked about a lot of stuff. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I appreciate it.
All right.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.